On this week's show, we're going to talk to you all about the takeover, the new administration, 47 in the crew. But before we get into that, I know that a lot of you are experiencing various levels of fear, insecurity, just not knowing what's going to happen. Maybe you have a family member that you're scared they may be deported. Maybe you have certain rights that you're worried about being taken away from you. And this made me think about access. See, we come to this country for access, but sometimes access leads to excess. What does that mean? When I say excess, sometimes we end up with excess dependence. We end up with excess expectations when in reality, it doesn't matter who the president is, it doesn't matter who is in charge. You still lead your life. And one of the things that we've lost since we've gotten to this sense of we can go wherever we want to go, we can live wherever we want to live, we've lost that sense of community. Prior to us being able to live wherever we want to and go where we want to, we lived in little small communities, little villages. And it didn't matter what was going on outside of your village because you had the people in your village. So the question now is who's in your village? Who are the people that are going to help get you through the next 4 years? It doesn't really matter what's going on. Yeah, there's certain laws and rules, but guess what? There's always been laws and rules. And at some point, if you look like me, you weren't even considered a human being at some point and still had to exist in this very country. So stop subscribing to the fear. Stop letting the noise come into your life and distract you from your purpose, from your calling, from your community. Let's identify those who are going to be there, who are going to help secure us, and who are going to help us get through this next 4 years. If you can find your way to do that, not only will we make it, but we will thrive through this moment.
Welcome to where the furniture isn't always the best, but them views, they are amazing.
Yeah, man. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 13th floor where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing. You heard our guy, Coach K, kick us off. We got BJ in the building. What's happening, man?
All good, man.
And
Here.
Mr. Barry B. Fresh is joining us also this week. So the whole crew is here. And as Carol so eloquently introduced, we're going to get into some things today. We're going to talk about some of the, what are we, like 10 days into this next 4 years of our lives? So some of the things that
It was like 6 months already.
right? Man, they moving fast, boy, like warp speed. So we're gonna get into a little bit of that. We're gonna talk about some of the fears some of us may be facing, but I think we're gonna round this thing out definitely with a focus on community. I think it's important that we highlight that because as we go through the discussion today and discussing the new administration, policies, things that have transpired, one thing that I hold on to and that I constantly remind folks close to me is that we've already been here before and we made it through the first four. What do we learn from that? So those are some of the things we're going to highlight today. But let's kick it off, man, with this administration's high gear to transform what we used to know as a democracy into a monarchy or extremely overpowered presidential office or administration. How you guys looking at it, man? How are you feeling? What are your expectations going forward?
That it's going to be a wild ride. All bets are off the table. I think the only way to be able to feel comfortable in knowing what is happening is to actually delve deeper into their Project 25, and just so that you understand they're doing exactly what they said they are going to do. And by no means, but that's the only way to be able to at least kind of feel that there is some type of, I don't know, direction or guidance in what's going on, but it doesn't uh take away from still how crazy it is to watch and witness in real time, to hopefully see the turning point of people realizing there is no more of the straddling the fence, I guess, and the you really are going to hopefully choose a side, because just rights, what seems as normal justice, are being tested on a daily. And it is apparent with his support in helping known racist groups, that there is it is giving them a lot of fuel in the fire for them to do and start presenting themselves in some interesting ways with their chest poked out a little bit more, which is always interesting, because you always find that they're so proud of all of this stuff, but then whenever they come out in public, they get more masked up than anybody else. Like, there's never a time when they are, if you're so proud and you think what you're doing is so right, just like with Elon doing this bringing his heart out stuff that he did at the end of the inauguration. A lady I saw, one of the Republicans was, oh, well, this uproar is insane and it's insanity to be talking about this. And she said, hey, why don't you do it? If you don't think it's what, do it right now. Go
Yeah, go
ahead
ahead
and
and
do
do
it.
it.
All your people. Uh, uh, uh. And so I'm hoping this line in the sand gets a lot more defined, in that where we will have to, it's going to be a fight. Don't get me wrong. I've, yeah, I know it's going to be an interesting fight. And so I'm just kind of strapped in, uh, keen, stay, ears open, eyes open. I try to absorb as much as I can, but also, uh, not to overdose on it, to put myself in a position of, burrowing into that hole. And that's really the big thing right now. As Brett said, we've been through this before. It is definitely, they took off the seatbelt for the roller coaster that we're going on. But at the same time, we have to be diligent and more aggressive in our, again, a lot of the reason that we are sitting in this position is because there were a lot of people who A, didn't believe he was necessarily pointing to them, and then B, also being, oh, well, you're pointing to them over there, so I'm okay with it, and not realizing that that vision was widening, and it really was wider than they even anticipated initially.
It's funny. One of the things you said was how you want to stay keen and in the know with everything. And that's one thing I really struggle with. Like I have to kind of take this stuff in doses. Like I can't be a news junkie anymore. Never really been a social media junkie either. But I don't know. It's for me, and it might it's my views. It's difficult because a lot of this stuff just doesn't make any sense. Like there's not a lot to me. There's no logic in the way policy is being gone about. The extreme dismantling of DEI programs. The logic just to me it just isn't there. The rush to deport all of these illegal immigrants, although it may be warranted, we're not really fixing the problem. So, and then there's that side of it, but then depending on which news outlet you get the extreme liberal point of views where, oh, the house is absolutely on fire and everything is going to burn down, and they stop federal funding, so nobody's going to get money anywhere anyhow. So it's like I have to really be mindful of how much I take in and when I take it in, because if I give it more than like an hour a day, I'm usually like my headaches come, like I'm frustrated. It's just it's unnecessary stress.
Everything A is in moderation, one. Two, you have to be a strong mind and body in the sense of I am one who I force myself in a sense to take doses of Fox News because I need to know what the hell they're talking about. I just want to know how they are flipping these situations, and so that I have a better mind frame of where they're coming from when I have to deal with them in the real world, and what they're, how they spin everything and how this is that. I just, in a sense, like to see it come out of their mouth so I can know for sure, like, oh, y'all really are this way. Like, you really believe that? That is crazy to have a better understanding. But then it's also about seeing what is, the other side. I like to get a round view of everything, but I try not to OD on it because I do notice those days when I sit there and just have it on all morning while I'm doing work and doing other stuff, and it's just feeding into me, then I can feel my mood get into where I don't want to deal with nobody. And like, yo, y'all out there are crazy, and this, that, and the third, where you have to be a strong mind. And in a sense, it's knowing what you're doing. Like, I almost feel like it's research, but it's because I feel that we are in such a position where it has gone so haywire and so to extremes that we didn't even think were possible. But again, you have to, I encourage all of us to go and at least, even if you take the Project 2025 in our Project 25 and put it in ChatGPT and ask you to give it the Clef Notes, they are following this thing to a T. Part of the initial way that you go about it in their document is to overload the system, overflood us with so much craziness to hopefully put us into a stupor of not, it's just too much. I can't care anymore. So that then they can really flood in the things that they want to flood. So it's all by design, and it's partially working, but again, it's keeping this dialogue going, keeping everybody aware, keeping everybody in the conversation, and starting to get these, and ultimately these Congress people to start standing up and stopping being weak-minded and have no backbone, and allowing these policies to go through, allowing these people to get into these positions that they have absolutely zero right history, nothing to be in, and really putting our country in a position of uncertainty. Ultimately, I think what I've seen is that he has been able to create this vision that we are a business. America is America Inc. And that now he is the CEO of America Inc. And what has happened is you have these his supporters, his all of his Congress people. Now when they talk about stuff, they do not say that they're doing, hey, I work for the United States, or I'm a Congress. They say I work for Donald Trump, as if he is the CEO of some business. And it's noticing those ways that they talk about stuff like that, how he talks about it himself, and how he has set things up where it's interesting times. It's going to be a real roller coaster. 10 days in feels like 6 months. 4 years is going to feel like an eternity.
So what's interesting is that I think his own party has to stand up first, right? We already know the Democrats going to do what they're going to do, but his own party needs to stand up and say this is unacceptable, and we're not going to go for it. And look, I'm sure we'll get there at some point because there's too much going on as far as the people involved. Elon has a very interesting approach to business. Trump has a very interesting approach to business that you could say, based on his track record, has never really been good. So the fact that we say that this man's running this like this is America Inc., that's not good at all. And I think the thing that we have to remember, majority of what's been put out has been executive order, which means this isn't going to the House. This isn't going to the Senate for anything. This is
what I say.
This is what I say. Go ahead, Brett.
There's an interesting play there with that. So, right, executive order is his way to go. Reason being, you don't have to play around with Congress. And if we remember, Trump sat, I believe it was over 200 and some federal judges his first term. He sat a
So
lot.
he knew exactly what he's doing.
He also has he sat 3 or 4 Supreme Court justices.
Yes,
They have the
he knows.
overwhelming majority. So even when this stuff gets hung up in court, yes, we do have judges that will stay it and kick it back, whatever. He's making a big play.
He wants to, again, I encourage you to check out Project 25 because this is literally in the playbook. He wants to go ahead and take it to litigation so that he can be able to. His press secretary just said that the Constitution is unconstitutional. This is the way that we feel. They want to take it to trial because it is all a
Everything is left up to
yeah,
interpretation
well,
at that
and he
point.
already knows, and so he wants to be able to take it there to then again, man. They just put out a one of these senators just put out a thing to try to put this fool on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's yes.
Yeah.
Wow. What's interesting is that, yes, I agree with you. There's going to be lawsuits and they're probably not going to start in the Supreme Court, and then they're going to end up all the way to Supreme Court. And the opposition play is you're going to have to delay to where some of these cases don't get ruled on until after the 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the play. It's going to be a delay. It's hung up. It's hung up. It's hung up. But in the meantime, what do people do? Right? Because I haven't read Project 25. I guess I'll take that as a assignment for myself. But I want to be very cautious of how much of this foolery I take in.
Yeah.
Because at some point it's just distraction. Yeah. It's just
right.
distracting you from things that you could be doing and accomplishing. But people got to figure out what are they going to do while they're in the gray. And that's the part where you can't, you're going to be better off calling your 4 people that you trust and talk to them and decide how you're going to move forward.
And that's really, that's really all you can do at this point. I mean, you got to look at it. If you take us back to 2016 and then through like COVID, we did so much work as people in opposition to the administration at the time. You did so much work inside, you know what I'm saying? Partly because you had the time to, and, some resources may have been thrown your way as well. But you did so much to elevate yourself within that time. This time around, it's really no different. You take an assessment of where you are and how do you get to where you want to be, and knowing that this administration is always going to be more pro-business than not. You have to look at those types of things. How do you incentivize yourself accordingly? They're going to get rid of as many entitlement programs as possible. So unfortunately, there are those of us who rely upon that. But you got to figure out a way to elevate. And that's where our community organizations and, those that are receiving those federal grants or maybe still receiving those federal grants really got to come in and look into how do we impact those, how do we help those who are going to be most negatively impacted by some of the things that are going to go on with this administration.
Some great philosophers once said, you've got to get up, get out, and get something
out of the people.
And that's it. We got to stop. I mean, you just got to stop having the expectation that somebody else is going to do something for you.
Right.
It's just not the truth.
And as a community, we need to hold on to that as well, because again, we've spoke about this. How many years we've been talking about issues in the community, but who is the next leader? Who is the next one, the one to rise? We don't need to wait on the one to rise. We need to join together and ensure, like, we talk
Right.
about that village. Like, who are your 3 or 4 local? What is that next circle out there? And then, but what is that larger circle as a whole? When you think about what people are doing, what people are going through, how people are going to pull together. Because at the end of the day, like, look, no matter how people voted back in November, there are a lot more people hurting today than it was then. And every day, that number is growing exponentially. When you see people, um, mostly on social media, mostly like, and again, is it real? Is it fake? I don't know. I try not to plug in too much of it myself. And news, I don't think I've watched a single newscast since that inauguration day. I hear bits and pieces I'll pick up on the radio or something, but not sat through and watch the entire thing. I just mentally, I can't bombard myself with that foolishness, right? But the stuff I do see is thinking through of what is it going to take for America, not America Inc., to again stand together? Because again, there's a when I say together, understanding there's going to be a division, but that division, if you look historically, there's always been a division of fundamental beliefs. There just hasn't been a character in a position to show the extreme nature of one side and totally push this country into another direction. No matter when you go back to Reagan, you go back to Bush, you go back to Clinton, when it changed over to Democratic, you go back to the other Bush, right? Moving up to Obama, everything. There's always been division. But somehow, some way, we managed to reach across the aisle and figure out what's best for humans. And it's not always in a disaster. We're good at that across the US. If there's a disaster, we come together. Why do we have to be a disaster? We can still have fundamental beliefs, disagreements, but still treat each other with dignity and try to move forward in a way that's going to move us forward. Right now, America is taking the back burner to everybody else in the world right now, and they're just looking at us, laughing at us. So the biggest concern amongst safety, finances, things like that locally is we're going to lose our place in the world, in a global economy, global race for everything, technology. I read something the other day, AI. In China dropped something. AI is putting Chat GPT to shame. It is free,
Yep.
open. It is totally free, open source. When they wanted to take Chat GPT private, all that stuff, like all these different things that are going on, and this is putting us at a place positioning us where we're going to be literally become a second world country. I can't say third world country, but it's not going to be in the top tier anymore of freedoms and moving forward with people freedoms.
We've been on that kind of trajectory as a country for a while now, though, because
Trajectory, yes.
America.
Sliding downhill, no.
Well, I don't know, because I feel like the country's emphasis is more geared towards capitalism and monetary gain. And those who have amassed the money have amassed the power and influence that come along with it. So if you look at the education system, BJ,
Mhm.
you look at the education system in America, where we rank, where our focus is, and how we're not even looking to fix problems within the education system. We're looking to defund public schools and send everybody to a for-profit institution, or
That's the next EO, I think, in the next 2 days, I believe. So
and call it school choice. You know what I'm saying? So instead of maybe not funding failing schools, or figuring out why they're failing and then giving them the resource so they don't fail, we're doing the exact opposite. And we lag behind those other nations like China when it comes to AI or technological advancements. So the emphasis, I think, in the nation, it's all for profit. It's not really for the betterment of the nation, and we've gotten
I heard.
away from that. And now we have these billionaires in office that are going to, unfortunately, I think, put more of an emphasis on that. And it's going to be
billionaires
Well, I
being
heard
the puppet masters of the office, but that's my opinion of it.
I heard a guy who pretty much described it. What the Republican Party has become has become people who make $100 an hour, convincing people who make $15 an hour that people who make $7 an
$7 an hour
are the
problem.
problem. And that's really what it is, where it's wild that they created this.
You said $100 an hour.
Of,
it was actually people who make $700 an hour.
But it's you know what I mean? The fact that they are putting this middle and even lower class people still have this vision of, you know, this less than 1% of the nation who has all of the money. Yes, that's the right way to live. And they actually know how it is to, you know, be here in the trenches. And they really have an insight on the way to that we can all get there. But it's like, even if they just gave away 5% of their money, they could get us there just alone with that. But yet everything that they're doing is circled around them amassing more and more and more money and not helping anyone who really needs it.
So with all of that being said, I do want to pose a question, given how it sounds like we feel about the administration. Is it possible to have an open mind for positive, some form of positivity to come from the next 4 years?
Hey, Obama blessed us with the knowing and understanding of what hope. Hope is here. You know what I mean? And if nothing else, I have a hope that, you know what, we're the ones who are crazy. And we're the ones who, you know what I mean? Wait a minute, we viewed all of this wrong. There is a, you know, a mild hope that yes, all of a sudden we are going to come out of this 4 years and somehow something amazing has happened. And you know what? Every black person got a 3-door Cadillac with the diamond in the back, sunroof top, digging the sea with the gangster. But you know, I'm not holding my breath for it. But you know, it is one of those things where, of course, hope is there. I think one of the things that I've been curious about is just like BJ, we're talking about who are the new leaders who are emerging. Is does there need to be somebody outside of Republicans and Democrats who winds up being that voice of change in a larger scale? Because I think
this is definitely a shift in party. Like there will be my personal opinion, there will be a prominent third party or a group in the next election.
I love it.
Now, who's heading that and who's supporting
what that group is represented by, right?
That's a different story. But I hear that this is the headspace, because again, at the end of the day, no matter what side you call that or independent, right? You still had to vote for somebody for something, unless you just didn't vote on that box on that line at all. So when it comes down to it, you have a large faction of people who feel unheard, disenfranchised, and are not going to take either party in the next election. So whoever that person is, man, I hate to say it that way because where my mind just went to when I said it that way is a rise or something else, but that's a different story for another day. Sorry, I just totally lost my train of thought when I said that. A whole biblical train just came through my head. I apologize.
It's all good, man.
Who you apologizing to? You apologizing to us? You apologizing to God? Who you apologizing to?
I lost my thought. I totally lost my thought because that literally just...
He took off down that...
my brain just went 50 years in the future, and I'm like, shambles of the U.S. underground. Sorry. The whole vision and everything.
Look, I think you already got your major third party, man.
Wrap your books in plastic.
I think you already got your major third party. I think you're looking at them in power now because I think that MAGA concentration of the Republican Party is going to be the third party. I think you might have some form of a reasonable Republican, you know, show up like a Larry Hogan, and try to bring things back to some sense of what used to be normal. And then you'll have some other Democratic candidate, but you know, we'll see.
The next Democratic candidate,
they're gonna have such an uphill battle. Like they are gonna have to be so like I think right, Obama's was so captivating when he would speak. Like, this person is gonna have to make Obama look like, you know what I mean? He's can't talk, like he has Tourette's or something. Like, the person is going to have to be just amazing to dig the out of the hole that we are sitting in right now,
Okay,
what we came through.
go ahead, Carol.
No, I was gonna say like I don't know who that person is going to be, but like they're gonna need 2 terms.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not
Uh,
going to be a 4 year thing at all. It
You're
is
gonna
not
need two
going to,
terms.
it's,
And
it's
and
a
and
lot of it not going to be a person of color at all.
and if people don't pay attention to midterm elections in 2 years,
Oh yeah, it's just
and
gonna be
then
worse and worse.
the actual major election and your local elections, it's a wrap. like like whoever comes in has to have help. You can't have another President Obama situation where, okay, we got the
Yep.
presidency, but we don't got the House,
Yep. And
we
all
don't
they're
have
gonna
the
say,
Senate.
no, no, no.
Nope, nope, nope. So it has to be something where the person comes in and they can they can command bipartisanship.
Yes.
Because if you don't have bipartisanship coming into the next one, you're not going to be able to move the needle in enough time. And look, it's going to be a first term president. So you know what they're not going to come in doing? They're not going to come in executive order, executive order, executive order, because that's usually what a president does on their way out.
Mhm.
So it's interesting, but I think there has to be some type of cohesion amongst the American people. And I don't know who is going to step up to drive that cohesion because it is so divided right now. Like it's just classic divide and conquer.
I don't think
And
we've seen them. I don't think that because I think that this pot is about to boil over so much that it is going to be one of those. They are going to emerge from, just it's too much. It's a lot going on right now. And I can see, voices getting louder, people, getting more exposure on the side of being able to. And I think the biggest thing, right, is that person has to be able to put things in a way that are more digestible for common folk, and to be able to while not getting in the ring to play as dirty as they do, still be able to quickly, eloquently put fact and things into place and move on. And like, it takes a real, a real speaker and a real somebody who's passionate, understanding of everything that's going on. So I don't think they've emerged, but it's going to take that type, because that's one of the biggest things that they are able to do, is spit so much BS at people that it gets them so jumbled that they're talking about, while spitting facts, it's just too much. It's too much to even be able to you know do anything with. And so they talk about so much others, get you talking about so much other stuff than what is actually relevant to hold a true point.
oh, listen, you don't know what's real. You don't know what's real and what's fake because there's so much. You don't know if you in or out of the matrix.
But that's why you don't get pulled into these things. Like I made it a conscious effort. Like people want to start talking, cool, go ahead. I'm not engaging in it. And I think part of the mission moving forward is that there has to be that understanding that people are going to be people. They're going to do crazy things. I'm not going to pull it in. I'm going to make sure my circle, we talked about for that village, is not going to be pulling that as well. And if I see you, I'm going to come get you and pull you back out. Sorry, reminiscing the other days. That's weird.
Better than me, I have to engage because I can't allow stupidity and ignorance to just permeate the atmosphere free for free. It can be frustrating at times, and you walk away from the conversation, but um, the persistence of some of the attitude and perception of events, it's mind-boggling, and I think allowing it to go unchecked only adds to the problem. But a lot of those folks got their justification for now. So
Are you
Oh,
are you
I was gonna say I'm gonna say something. I don't. There was a guy I was getting like a steak at Publix the other day. This guy, oh, I can't believe the price of these steaks, and I'm just like, yeah, it's crazy, man. Well, hopefully Trump's gonna do something. I said, man, are you crazy? Get out of here, man. Ain't no way. I'm not holding my breath, sir. Right away.
You know what? I've hit 2 people already just randomly out in public, and when they start talking about, oh, Trump's gonna save us, and I just like, you know what? And I do like green eggs and ham. And they just look at me like, both of them, what? Exactly. What?
Yeah.
Hey, man, you know, it has yet to be seen. You know, we'll see.
We will.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for you here on the 13th floor this week. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and any other channels where you might be receiving your daily dose or weekly dose of the 13th floor podcast. We'll be back again next week. And we're going to come with a fresh ovation next week as we working our way back up into this thing. So fresh.
I can give you a fresh ovation right now, baby.
Stop,
baby.
Man. Send us out on a high note.
If you stay ready, you never got to get.
That's right, man. Make sure your tables is rounded because them corners can be very pokey if you not. I'm joking. Seriously though, you have to make sure to find and know your happy place, whether that is a physical location or some type of item or music or even movie, whatever it is. Know how to get back to your happy place. Stop being in a position of, even with all of this chaos going on, as we stated time and time again, look, you have your tribe, you have your inner circle, you have what's going on with you. And ultimately, while all of that stuff is going on outside, really the biggest thing that you can control and impact is what you do within yourself. So make sure to find your happy place, whatever it may be. And other than that, stay fresh, baby. We out here, baby.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us here on the 13th floor, where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing. Subscribe, like, let us know what you think. All right.
Welcome to where the furniture isn't always the best, but them views, they are amazing.
It's the 13th floor, y'all.